Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Psychonauts. So I had to exit out, so we're back here. See, and in the menu here, you have the Mario Galaxy brain that you can wander around. And you can jump and all. But I think it's important to mention that, like, Mario Galaxy wasn't just that there was a little planet you orbited. It was also a whole system of complicated specific vector points where you would, I don't think I was quite here, but this is close enough, you would essentially use those yes, unless I was supposed to
finding those guys, Vernon?
Nope, not yet.
see, I don't know if I'm supposed to use my invisibility in this area and potentially find people, because I don't feel like that me being invisible would help me find other people who are invisible. But yeah, Mario Galaxy had specific central points where gravity would shift, so you could do a double jump from one planetoid to another planetoid and it would change. And so far we haven't seen any indication that that's how this is going to play out. Alright, so at the current moment I have two choices. I could either use this to
I'm not picking up anything. Must not be any deep arrowheads nearby.
see if there's any deep arrowheads at all. Which, interesting. I guess maybe there aren't any at all in this area. So we could spend a decent amount of time in an area trying to find them. And it's you have to kind of listen to the audio and listen to the vibrations of the controller. See, what I'm looking for is something that would just go to full vibration. There we go. And then I guess the question becomes, is there an infinite amount of these and there's just aren't any in the kids' cabins? Or are these kind of randomly placed? Yeah, and even at that, it's only like 20, so it's not really worth the time. Like, the grinding here is
I'm not
just
picking up anything. Must not be any deep arrowheads nearby.
see, that feels weird because it feels like there should be a couple. And him saying he's not picking up anything doesn't seem to be an actual indication of there not being any at all in an area, because there definitely are some somewhere around here. I wonder, what was that sound effect that I just heard? Alright, well, here we go. We kind of need a fast transport. So where's the fastest fast transport? I think it's probably over here. let's go back and just try and push the game forward and play some more. We're not going to get the 800 arrowheads needed.
Where would you like me to take you, Agent Crawler?
Let's see, we need to go to Agent
Agent
Neon's
Nine's lab, please.
Agent Nine's lab. And yeah, we need to find out either it's gonna tell me I needed to have been grinding this whole time. And would there be any here?
I'm not picking up anything. Must not be any deep arrowheads nearby.
That's not super surprising that there wouldn't be any here. So he's either gonna tell us that we need something else, or we were supposed to just do this.
Okay, time to face my big diving helmet spitting personal demons.
That's the spirit.
More than likely, this is going to open up the lake a little bit more, so there's going to be a bit more of an area. But we are very late to the game, certainly. Very late in the game. I'm at like rank 30 of 100 already. It would have made a lot of sense. Sasha's shooting gallery. Interesting. I don't think I'm supposed to go there quite yet. Brain tumbler experiment. Thank you for giving me text, game. Clearly, a lot of the game is in these brain levels. Seems like there's some stuff still that would be collectible from that section. But they desperately need to introduce a bad guy to this whole story. Like, it just doesn't make any sense at all otherwise. So we were chasing this bunny, and we can kind of just avoid the bunny, and there's no figments to collect because we had already collected them all. Actually, it wouldn't hurt, frankly, to power up. It probably wouldn't hurt too much to also, while powering up, collect some other things. And see, here we can see a creepy monster character, which I just need to shoot. And here we see, here's something crying. Emotional baggage. This cutscene doesn't even make sense for a 2005 game. It's far too late to the party to
Where'd
be.
it go? Don't tell me I imagined that whole thing.
Yeah. So something. Yeah, the whole theme still doesn't make sense if we don't have like a enemy. Even if the enemy really does like eventually just prove to be a figment of the imagination, there needs to be some challenge. Wonder if I'm ever gonna get more than 30 shots in this game also. That could be a slow process otherwise. And that figment is just too high to really collect. There's clearly a way over there we're gonna get to, and clearly there's a cobweb.
are my own creation. I command you to stop. Dang. Does that ever work?
Interesting. And I get the idea of something making noise, but the gentle weeping in the background is definitely not an audio file I want to hear. Alright. So there's a lower path and an upper path. I kind of want to get everything, because every one of these little figments plays a role. These sensor guys are too powerful. Little small ones, interesting. Yeah, and the only thing I can imagine to do here is to really just grind out these levels if you really want the full experience. Come on, game. It very well may be a case where running through this whole area is not really worth it anyways, because at some point I very possibly am going to go somewhere else and do something different, or I'm gonna have a different ability for double jumps or triple jumps, or I wouldn't be surprised if we at some point straight up. Interesting. Notice how these aren't hurting me, and instead I'm now just getting bounced back and forth. Once again, I'm potentially very close to another upgrade. Something is shooting at me. But I'm not sure there's any special value to it. That was kind of interesting because there's potentially a pigment hidden behind the guy. Alright, well, we can hear something crying once again. And honestly, I could see this being just actually disturbing. So, once again, this game feels odd because it's like, who is your audience here? It has to be a fairly mentally stable adult that can somewhat tolerate crying. Otherwise, you're just going to constantly hear that. And I don't know, at some point you need like a whole different sound effect or a whole different audio slider, because it is just asking a lot here. Like, yeah. Yeah, let's just do one more emotional baggage. And see, theoretically, this would all be Raz's emotional baggage, so you would need almost a genius writer to be able to write Raz as multiple different characters, and it'd be noticeable as his emotional baggage and his potential emotional problems became fewer and fewer. There's something weirdly over there moving. I wonder what that is. Well, I definitely don't think I can reach it. That game I mentioned, Remember Me, as a character whose memories get changed and then they get written as a completely different character, and that was weird and didn't really work well. It's almost always written off as a joke when something like that happens, more than as a serious, oh, this person has completely changed and is a completely different person because of their mindset. Yep. There is a game on Steam that is claiming it's going to come out, which is about all you can say for any announced game. That is going to be more of a realistic 3D world game with shifting gravity. And it doesn't really relate to Mario Galaxy or this game, but it does point out a interesting fact that of the games that exist where reality gets changed or where gravity gets changed, there's really only 3 or 4 of them that have come out in about, I'd say maybe 25 years. So the concept itself doesn't have a lot of high demand for it. Well, I now know what to do with those kamikaze characters, which frankly I should have figured that out earlier. It's frankly frustrating to run into bushes that just bounce you around. It's a little frustrating to hear a bunny jumping around this whole time. We're getting these nautical figments. So, am I supposed to use this as something? Hey, I can't burn it. Actually, I think I probably have the wrong setting. Anyways, I probably need telekinesis set to right bump. Nope, can't do anything with that either. This shooting upwards is not procuring me anything, and that doesn't seem to be something you can swing on. So I have no idea what this is supposed to be. Then you just have constantly these figments running around, which pretty much demand that you're going to have to play the game multiple times. You play every level multiple times. There's just too many things running around.
I am sorry to say that you have a very serious mental problem. The trouble originates in this area, here. The area that we in the medical profession like to refer to as the brain. You see, son, it's just no good. I hate to be so blunt, but you have the insanity of a manatee.
I know. People are always saying that. What do you think's wrong with my brain, Doctor?
How should I know? I'm a dentist. But here's what I do know. If a tooth is bad, you pull it.
But my teeth are fine.
Yep, mad brains got to come out, boy. It's the quickest way to cure what you've got. Insanity of the mind.
But I don't wanna.
Shh. Now hold still. This will only hurt until your brains come flying out.
This is weird.
Don't worry, Dogen. I'm coming up there to save you.
What is wrong, Razputin?
No time to explain, Sasha. I gotta climb this spooky thorn tower.
This doesn't really make any sense. Why would we be in Dogen's mind? How did we transfer from one mind to another? Like, in this astral plane. Wasn't the whole idea of the doors that the minds were separate? Why re-establish or de-establish that fact? Why not just state at the beginning that your mind is unique and as such you can travel into other people's minds? One thing they could have done without even changing the audio, it would have been so easy to change the audio. The Psi Power upgrade earned Palm Mega Bomb. After you start a Palm Bomb, press X as many times as you can before you hit the ground. The more times you press X, the higher the bonus damage. Great. And I'm sure that's not something. We've now gotten all the emotional baggage in this level. See, we're just setting ourselves up. A maximum projection depth has been increased. Great. Did I miss a figment? Nope. Yeah. This is weird, and I suppose we do need weird to happen. The world shall taste my eggs. Eggs. Chicken. Fish. Rides the fish. Goes to a carnival. Rides the teacup. Destroys people. I have no idea
What the hell was that? I'm seeing some crazy stuff in here, Sasha. This can't be right.
Ah, why did I buy the cheap brain tumbler?
Yeah, it feels like the brain tumbler is mixing in some really crazy stuff. And that level of insanity doesn't seem to be coming from Razputin. Although if you did tell me Razputin was crazy, I'd kind of believe you. I kind of believe if they were all crazy. Oh. We're not gonna get too much here. So we'll just need to have to keep an eye on any figments we can grab. This is so crazy because it feels like potentially 2 or 3 more levels will be at max. And maybe they wanted very early for you to be at the max levels. But it almost feels like this is half a game. And I don't know how Psychonauts 1 could not be a complete product and feel like a complete product if it managed to kickstart a whole sequel that's close to being released at this point, and a VR game.
Ugh, there's no way to get any higher.
You must use your levitation power.
I don't know how to levitate.
I had no idea you were at such a remedial level.
Hey,
Lucky for you, we have one of the world's foremost levitators on staff.
Agent Mia Vodello, the mental minx.
Precisely. You'll need this oarsman's badge to reach her at the docks. I'll try to determine where this interference is coming from.
It seems
Return
like
when you've
we're
earned
just
your
going to keep
levitation
going
merit.
back to the same section over and over again. And it's just going to pull you out and pull you back in, which is a pretty terrible system. frankly.
Where would you like me to take you, Agent
Um,
Cruller?
It's kind of like the
It's time to go to the lake.
opposite
Yes,
of
sir,
a
Admiral, sir.
Metroidvania game where you get new abilities and thus you can explore new areas. Instead, it's you can go to areas only to be quickly told you can't go any further. And there definitely have been some Metroidvania style games where it worked that way. And you really couldn't go any further.
Dogen, are you okay? I had the strangest machine-induced dream about you.
TV.
Well, first of all, Sasha 9 invited me down to his secret lab, and
TV.
he's completely brainless. The dream was true. Dogen, don't worry. I know where your brains are. They're in, like, this crazy dream thorn bush straitjacket tower place.
Aggie suck.
You go to the TV lounge. I'm on the case. I just need a little more advanced training to prepare.
Well, if all of the students get their brains sucked out, particularly it'd be nice if the annoying students, the bullies, get their brains sucked out. That saves us on some cutscenes, I think. And it at least gives us a narrative. But man, we are 6 or 7 hours. Like, let's just see what the game would say here. It says 4 hours and 30 minutes. No, that's not right. I'm 6 or 7 hours into playing this game. For them to just now start to hint at a bad guy, when it would have made a lot more sense for it to just jump into some actions. Maybe do some flashbacks if you need to tell some stories before the main action happens, but generally just move the game forward.
Check it out,
And I-
Admiral.
and
I'm
there's-
an oarsman, first class.
Definitely.
It looks like all those weeks in the canoe simulator really paid off.
Yes, sir, Admiral, sir.
Well, let's get you afloat.
Like,
Finest of the fleet.
I'll take good care of her, sir.
That lake isn't as peaceful or as harmless as she looks. Now, don't take her out too far.
just listening to the cutscene.
Oh, no, you don't.
Okay, press A to paddle forward and B to paddle backwards. Okay. And I guess we just can't land anywhere. So we're limited.
Hello, children. I hope you're all having a happy and safe summer day here at Whispering Rock. I just wanted to tell you that we are having a party out here on the floating dock, and I'd love for you all to come. It's levitation training, baby, and it's fun, fun, fun. Just grab a canoe and come join the party.
So yeah, the girl character is getting reintroduced as the camp counselor. Yeah. I think you could have probably just written a narrator intro where it's like, "Hi, my name is Raz. I was having the best time at this summer camp, learning to be a psychonaut, until the incident, and then dun dun dun, and then you're into the action." The other thing I would say is there is really no reason, it's so old-fashioned here, to make me earn each of the abilities when it would make a lot of sense just to say, here's a quick tutorial telling you here's a quick tutorial telling you what abilities you already have and you can already do. That's where maybe a flashback sequence would make a little bit more sense if you wanted to relearn things.
There she is.
That's a very awkward
And
way.
there you are, darling. Don't worry. I got in contact with your father, and he's going to be here tomorrow to pick you up.
My father?
Oh, go. The race is starting.
Lily!
Oh, hey Raz. Listen, I made you something.
Weird to
It's
have
kinda
like
stupid,
two
but-
different
Stole
cutscenes.
Dogen's brains.
No, he's just like that.
I had a nightmare where this mad scientist guy said he was gonna take them out. And
Was it a creepy looking freak with a shower cap and a stainless steel 3-pronged claw?
hey, that's my nightmare.
So it's not just me.
But how? And why all the meat?
I don't know. But I think it's time I find out where this is coming from. Let's rendezvous tonight at the old boathouse for debriefing.
This is so cool.
Yeah! It feels like that time in True Psychic Tales 314 where... Shut up!
And she's just psychically moving the boat. Yeah, weird to have like two cutscenes back to back, different kinds of cutscenes.
Why don't you come on up and score yourself a cobweb duster before they're all sold out?
Man, these guys are all getting advanced levitation training while these guys are all getting advanced levitation training while I'm just standing here.
So
Oh man.
none of
guys
these
all
are gonna
getting advanced
change.
levitation training while I'm just standing here. Oh man. These guys are all getting advanced levitation training while I'm just standing here. Agent Vodello?
So yeah,
I have been ordered to report here for levitation training. I've already done the coach's obstacle course, and Sasha showed me how to shoot.
You know, I'd expect that sort of recklessness from Orso, but Sasha?
Agent 9 said you were the most powerful levitator the Psychonauts had.
Sasha said that? Really? I
interesting.
didn't know he noticed.
See, here's the problem with
I
her
only work with the
floating,
best
is
teachers.
then they have
Okay,
these
let's pop.
low polygon skirt on her, floating also, which unfortunately kind of creates this weird upskirt shot on the character.
Look who made the
They should have
scene.
thought
Agent
that
Vodello?
a little bit through
Where are you?
On
and just had the
TV,
skirt
of
hang
course,
down.
Where I was always meant to be. I mean, look at my hair, darling. How can hair this fabulous not be on TV? Now, darling, the best way to learn levitation is to just try it. I'm going to give
And it's
you a
not like
levitation
she
learner's
has
permit.
particularly
It will only work
nicely
while you're in
animated
my mind.
knees, so
After you
covering
finish
that
my
up would have been
course,
fine.
I'll give you the real thing, baby. First, you gotta show me you know how to use it.
So those are probably in-game cutscenes. And then there are clearly pre-rendered cutscenes otherwise. Alright, well. So now left bump is just going to be levitate, which is a weird choice. And trying to break things is not going to be that useful. I mean, I can get a few little collectibles. But, yeah. Figments are really the only thing we should care about. I don't...
Now bounce on up here and follow me, darling. There you go.
Okay, so you walk on the ball. It's not quite a double
Now
jump.
for this last one, you're really gonna have to fly. Once you get up in the air, try using your thoughts as a balloon to float. Just jump for those rings as high as you can and then do your side float. Don't be afraid, darling.
Bubble bounce, press left trigger while airborne to float over the gap. There's some weirdness here though, that you make this red brain and then they chose a red tile which isn't the same shade, so that's easy enough to see the difference, but then they choose this red carpet where that's super hard to see the difference. That just, I mean, what can I really say? It just feels like Double Fine didn't know what they were doing at all. Like, basic artistic design
Okay,
concepts.
now, just between you and me, this end of the party is dead. Come find me on the other side of the party, and I'll give you that merit badge for real. Never keep a girl waiting.
She's not even
long,
looking
young
at the
man.
camera. Like, it's so glitched. Maybe that's because I'm using a higher resolution, I don't know, but it just seems so incredibly odd to have in-game cutscenes not play, to have art direction that doesn't make sense, color palettes that don't make sense. The only thing I could assume is that at some point in the distant future, this red ball clashes and is easier to see in all the other levels, and people had just kind
Stay
of...
on the ball in here, Razputin, if you want to get higher. And see if you can get all those rings spinning, Mr. DJ.
Okay. So...
Woohoo! You are the sugar in my bowl, darling. Now just follow the flowers, won't you? And try to stay rolling at all times. That is the theme of this party.
Yep. She seems kind of like a nicer character. So like there's some room for her potentially being the potentially being the first person to help Raz learn something, not the third person to help Raz learn something. I suppose there is room for the story to reveal that she's actually the bad guy, but I suspect that's not the case. I suspect that if there is an actual physical...
Fantastic! What style you have, young man. Now, I'm not saying that you will fall, but if you ever did, I'll put a ball return down here for you. Just jump in there if you need to come back up here in a hurry. Darling, float over here, will you? These rings aren't spinning and they are ruining my party. Remember to use your psi float. I'm not saying it won't ever let you down, but it will let you down nice and slow.
Okay, let's go over here and just see. Here you have a whole bunch of people dancing. And I can hear an emotional baggage crying somewhere. And it seems like I just run into these tags always. Like, I don't even remember finding a tag in this level, and yet I somehow pulled that off. And in the cutscene, that decided to take me out.
Dance?
Hey, sure!
Dance?
We're all
Thanks,
dancing!
but no thanks, Raz.
Hey, will you teach me how to dance?
Come on, dance, baby!
Hey, wanna dance?
Yay!
Hey,
I
wanna
already
dance?
am! Come join us!
Hey,
No,
will you
thanks,
teach me how to
Raz.
dance?
Come on, dance, baby!
Hey, will you teach me how to dance?
So it's the same
Watch
prompt.
and learn,
Hey,
kid.
will you teach me how to dance?
Come on, dance, baby!
Alright, well. I don't think that there's much more to this, so I assume I'm supposed to do this, this, and then
Thank
this.
you, sweetie. I feel so much better now.
When you use the whole balloon thing,
Come on, let's take it a little higher now.
respawn kick activated if you miss. So, like when you do the
Ooh,
whole
look at
thing
the crowd. Things are starting to pick up.
to float, it kicks you out of the
See that draft
floating
up above,
element.
darling? Jump into it and float and see where it takes you.
Is there any more collectibles to collect first before we do that? Oops. So that... Okay. This is slow. Remember, I turned down the music too, so the music here would be very high. Look how this ladder is twisting. I don't think it's supposed to be twisting like this. I think definitely there are some resolution issues with this game, to say the least. And we've probably been lucky up until this point to not really run into them, but I think it is going to become more and more of noticeable potentially. Alright. And it definitely feels like what we're going to do in this game is we're probably going to spend a lot of time using this levitate ability and not using just standard walking abilities anymore. Just because it's going to be faster. Which might explain some of the early levels away quite a bit. If all the QA people had all the abilities, for instance, unlocked at the beginning, and sometimes you see that where you have debuggers and QA people being empowered with abilities that the actual player wouldn't have at certain points in the game, and thus they can accomplish things, and they just get either that or they just get better at the game to the point where it doesn't even really matter, because certainly is the case. There's like a mermaid in there that you could easily have a QA player, QA tester, who's just so good at the game that it's not even questionable as far as how to do something. I think I was supposed to land on this platform. There were some sensors that popped up, but I don't think we've been given a reason why we would want to fight sensors. That seems to be kind of just antithetical to our real goal. Seems like it's just going to be a waste of time. This audio is just so weird. It's so game breaking and odd. Like you honestly could probably just skip the whole thing. Just you touch it, it plays a sound effect. Maybe it does nothing at all. And that's certainly something that if there was a remaster, you could address and just say, hey, by modern standards, this doesn't make any sense for a game. Nobody wants to pause their game for 3 seconds to hear the exact same little dancey cutscene. Right. See, I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this or what. But I can say I am moving around and leaning quite a bit. And this is an example of where you would want an elevator to just be automatic and like show you what show you what it wants you to do. It's gotta be a respawn here, right? Yeah, here it is. Yeah. You would have, in a modern game, you'd have the elevator stay at the bottom until you stood on it. And then if you fell, it would lift you, it would go back down. It would only move when you're standing on it upward. That would be the modern way of having an elevator work and saving the player time. Which clearly there's just no consideration at all for the player's time. And I recently played a much older game, Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, for comparison. And sure, that game, being a point-and-click adventure, being extremely old, wastes a lot of time of the player, and was designed specifically to waste the player's time so that what is effectively maybe a 5-hour game feels more like a 60-hour game. But by the time of 2005, that's an old-fashioned way of doing things. Far too old-fashioned. We need these little conveniences. Little frustrations, if anything, as the years have passed since 2005 to 2021, have only increased in their detrimental effect to games. Just anything that's grindy, anything that wastes your time. We want the game to basically play itself. I literally have a game on my cell phone that literally plays itself, and it's something that I enjoy quite a bit. Because you just set it up and go, and then you can ignore it for a good 40 minutes. And of course, for an action platformer, I don't want it to completely play itself, but I also don't want to have to wait.
Hey, wanna dance?
Why don't you go ask Ilka? She loves to dance.
Hey, wanna dance?
You better back off, or my boyfriend James will go nuts. He's so jealous and protective of me.
Hey, will you teach me how to dance?
Watch and learn, kid.
Some of these are not
Hey, will you
humans,
teach me how to dance?
I
Come on,
think.
dance, baby.
But see, this looks like this would be a human,
Will you teach me how to dance?
but also
Come on,
looks like
dance, baby.
it's too old of a
Hey, wanna
character.
dance?
Yes, teach me of your earth rhythms.
So
Hey, wanna dance?
Yes, teach me of your earth rhythms.
he's the only one that says yes. Yeah. I suppose as a camp, there's definitely room there for there to have been different aged characters. And there could have been older characters and newer characters. We'll see how these sensors fight. On the ball, and they don't fight very well at all. Yeah, if Raz was in the middle age group and then there were little kids and in the camp, and then there were older kids in the camp, like the trope, of course, is that summer camp is often using near slave labor of college kids or high school kids to watch the younger kids, and they're doing a terrible job, a la something like Friday the 13th, or but yeah, there could have been several age groups, and each level could have introduced more characters if you need more characters. I don't know if you really need more characters in the story. You just kind of need less cutscenes and more game. So we have Milo's adventure here, which seems like Agent 9 and Milo are together as psychic spies. And apparently she likes Agent 9, which, I mean, nothing super surprising there. So we're just trying to get collectibles here. This feels like this would be a level where zooming up would be better. So we now have an upgrade. Earn Chain Blast. Your side blast will bounce from one enemy to the next, damaging up to 3 nearby enemies. Sweet. Our next level up is level 45. Did we get all the collectibles? I think we did. Then I guess we're supposed to climb to the top. And I feel like we're probably going to end up doing...
When you are levitating, you are also protected from all sorts of icky things. But some things, like those spikes, those are always bad news, whether you are levitating or not. So watch out.
So electricity is going to be a thing. Acid's going to be a thing.
That shouldn't be happening. Darling, do you have some problems with water? Do you want to talk about it?
It's a long story. Maybe later.
Okay, I'm always here for you, darling. Let me just say that it's very normal for boys your age.
Interesting. And see, that's weird because now water has been done to make a dirty joke here of nocturnal emissions or premature ejaculation or something like that, or bedwetting. I guess maybe they could have written that better so it was a bedwetting joke. And spelled it out a little bit better. Oh. But yeah, until we go further, it seems like we are not going to be capable of we're not going to be capable of levitating on water. Now see, if you're moving so fast, actually getting to that point to jump back up there is even going to be somewhat difficult. Right, and we are going for this shot. And then we're going up for the emotional baggage, which would be this shot. It's very pinball-esque. I just swung at it so I inched the character closer. I'm actually a little surprised we have yet to find a scenario where the oops. And so these will hurt me regularly, which is good to know. Might as well just see if there was maybe an achievement around that, or see what every animation there looks like. This is an example where the camera is going to be kind of struggly to get it just right. Apparently I just got sucked into a sensor area, which that seems weird. See, that just doesn't feel like that was what was supposed to happen, or that I actually made it to a new area. It feels like I got trapped. This is an incredibly long distance to travel. And it's just an invisible wall. Okay. This is weird though, because there are clearly some platforms up here. I feel like we are eventually going to get a double jump.
Okay, it's time to see how fast you are, darling. Ready? Get set, go, baby,
And see,
go!
that feels weird. Alright. So we go through this whole thing, and we're gonna miss a whole bunch of figments, and we're gonna have to teleport back to the race, I think, multiple times. Although at this point, me leveling up is not that useful. I mean, it's cool and all. This feels a lot like that music video. What was it called? It was called 12 from Sesame Street, and it just counts up to the number 12 over and over again, and shows these pinball-esque animations and from kind of a first-person perspective, and that's what this feels like, definitely. Like, what you're gonna have to do here, almost certainly, look, there's a big foot, is walk your way through a section of this.
Yeah!
I think I'm gonna lose. Yep.
Yeah! Oh, darling, you looked good, but sometimes speed is important. Why don't you try the race again? Okay, it's time to see how fast you are, darling. Ready? Get set, go, baby, go!
Like, we have no boost here, though. And unless I'm gonna shoot the guy, which I'm not offended by the idea of shooting the bully character, and this is one of those examples where I think a rival character does make sense. Yeah, swinging between her or spinning between her go-go boots is a little weird, but whatever. So yeah, you're probably gonna have to transport back here later. It is a very floaty jump, obviously. Shooting at him does not work. At least not if I'm not locked on. There's actually very little to...
You did it! You are quick like greasy lightning. I'm so proud of you, darling. You're so fast, you'll be at my party in no time, eh?
Yeah. And see, that's just its own little sub-mini game.
If you want to get up to where the action is, you're going to have to do a lot of floating in this room, baby. Good thing you're so light on your feet.
Press left trigger while airborne to float. Thanks. And we'll have to deal with collectibles later.
If you float in some areas, you might get a little more oomph than usual.
Let's see. It's just a ridiculous amount of collectibles. I assume we're going to turn on a fan at some point. Like, way too many figments. Like, how many figments was it really even in this party section? These levels go too long. I found 14 of 57, and the thing to really remember here is that, like, each figment has its own, like, custom artwork. Why in the world were they paying an artist to do that? That makes no sense. And I also cannot figure out how to scroll because it's left trigger and right trigger. Yeah. It feels like the figments of imagination were done by a different artist for a completely different reason, and they've, like, integrated them as collectibles when really they would have just been general concept pencil sketches, or with some coloring on them in any other game. There would be things that would not make it to the final product. Alright, well.
If you float in some areas, you might get a little more oomph than usual.
Alright. You can't jump though. That's the killer. Is that once you choose to float, you've got to float, and you've got to hold on to that left trigger. I'm having a hard time seeing if there's any figments around because of the way they're all over the place. Aggressive capacity increased. You may now store more side blasts now. So just an ammo up. Which that's good because that is what we needed. Let's see if we can slide on these tubes. No. Yeah, you just have to spin the entire camera to make sure there's not something you're missing. Yeah, I really have a hard time imagining you're going to be able to get all the figments without a radar at some point, which does bring about an interesting question. Do you need all the figments to level up? Figments let you level up. Side cards let you level up. Emotional baggage, I don't think gives you actual experience. Vault's cracked, I don't think gives you experience. Arrowheads definitely don't. Scavenger hunts do give you 4 levels, but there's only 8 more items to find. Yep. And let's see what that does. That almost certainly is just going to turn on the fan. Yep.
Now you're going to have to use your Psyfloat again to get those rings spinning.
The game is being very cautious here to tell you what to do. I feel like it's fairly obvious that they want me to go up and not down, but I can actually pull this off as easily falling downward as I can falling upward. And then it's just a matter of looking around and seeing what did I miss, if anything. I definitely hear some emotional baggage crying. So we've collected all the emotional baggage. And this is weird because it's kind of the opposite of the Agent 9 situation, where we fairly quickly and in a small level had a boss battle. Here we have a much longer running platforming section of levels, which a lot of that makes sense. Let's see. Can we make it to this one and this one? Do we see any more? Yeah, there's one way down there. Yeah, it does make sense that you would space the levels out and keep them varied if you have 2 different styles of levels. Although it would have been fairly easy to take, say, the race level part, take that out and put that in the Agent 9 section, or just take one of the platforming sections out. Yeah, weirdly this game feels like it is pushing you forward towards... It's another one I missed. Where is it? Saw it. Yeah, there's a major problem here. Without a compass of some sort to point you in the right direction, you could just be spinning your wheels for quite a while trying to get the angle right. And because they're flat 2D animations, it's totally possible that it will always just be slightly out of sight, or you'll look at it on the edge and miss it on occasion. And it's totally not worth the effort to fly around looking to collect one last figment when you know there's so many other figments that you've missed, even if it would potentially say like you've gotten all the ones in a specific area. Each of the figments are numbered, so there probably is a walkthrough, if not in-game, out-game, out of the game, that would tell you what to do. And see, this will be weird if this is a boss battle. Really shouldn't be. Okay, well, let's see where this takes us. It kind of takes us back. And we kind of know that there's gonna be things all over the place. We came from that direction. Seemingly, they want me to go this way and just call it a day. Well, it does seem like there's more here. Also seems like the game may just end if I talk to her. And honestly, let's just see what happens.
Who's that I see? It's Razputin, the rolling rock star, in the flesh. And just in time,
See,
the party was
the
dying
fake characters
without you,
have
darling.
no
I have
necks.
a little party favor for you.
And then you get another one of these pre-rendered cutscenes where this would be a point where you would want an in-game cutscene. So I don't know what kind of bad
So cute.
bad game developer was in charge. Actually, I know exactly who was in charge. It was Tim Schafer.
Don't be a stranger, darling.
And I don't know if there's a real value
Now it's back
to...
to the lab to save Dogen.
Dogen's not in the lab, sweetie. He's watching TV in the lodge with the other children.
I meant the dream Dogen from my brain tumbler vision. If I can find out what's happening to him, maybe that would give me a clue about who stole real Dogen's brain.
Oh, I'm afraid he's just like that.
So, like, nobody's gonna believe him.
Excuse me, Agent Vodello?
Hello, darling. Are you back for another dance?
Let's see. Let's go with this one. It's so odd that the text is at the top here, and also it puts you in this kind of weird sound effect. There's like a electric hum in the background for no reason.
No, I'm here to warn you. I think there's a monster in the lake.
You mean the hideous hulking lungfish of Lake Oblongata? Darling, every summer camp has its stories, but that's all they are.
This one ate Dogen's brains.
Now stop spreading rumors. I know Dogen seems a little naive, but he is actually a very powerful psychic. You know what it's like to stand out, Razputin, so maybe you could help him out, eh?
Well, I just wanted to stop by
See, and I
and
don't
say hi.
see a real reason
how
why you'd want to
nice. Isn't it a lovely day? It just
practice
seems like on a
levitating
beautiful
more.
day like this, nothing
Almost
could go wrong,
certainly
you know?
you're just gonna end up going once again. So we now have levitation, which is now our left thing. So we're like 5 hours into the game and we finally have the default abilities they wanted us to have, which was telekinesis, which we haven't even really used, marksmanship, and levitation. I've just been so obsessive about getting collectibles, I've also unlocked invisibility and pyrokinesis, and while it does seem like some of these will upgrade, there's really only 3 more badges and abilities. And it definitely feels like all of Act 1 is going to be centered around the idea of specifically collecting abilities. And then we may get an Act 2 later.
Mental cobwebs getting you down. I've got just the device up here in the main lodge store. Why don't you come on up and score yourself a cobweb
See,
duster before
there's
they're all sold out?
ropes here, which seem like they prevent you from actually going where you'd want to go. So where does one dock? I suppose you dock somewhere around here. Although I kind of wonder if maybe you could just run aground anywhere. Yeah. And this still won't let you do anything. Okay, good to know. So it definitely feels like you really should just rush through the whole game. So he's still there pushing you. We can try and talk to him.
Hey, Bobby. Wasn't that great when I beat you in that levitation race?
Let's see.
Oh, that was a fatal mistake. I hope you have a will.
Hey!
Yep. I don't think we have anything that will stop Bobby Zilch at all. Let's see. When you come over
Remember to keep filling
to
up those scavenger hunt forms. We
this
got a couple
area.
of big promotions for the winner.
Whoa. Elton, I hope you're not waiting for me. Oh, jeez, sorry. Carry on, Sailor.
And see, that's a little weird to just have a cutscene where kids are making out, kissing, whatever. That's one of those examples of that's probably a very natural, common thing to happen in the real world in the summer camp, but also kind of a weird thing to depict and animate. Like there is a certain level to the creepiness, as it were, and the potential voyeuristic feel of creating your own artistic creation and then watching them in a private moment or animating them in a private moment. Well, you can certainly get across the entire field now. There you go. I thought that would have been an achievement for actually landing the levitate ball through the hoop, but seems like all you get was the card. Fair enough. There's another side card. And see, we could certainly look and see if there's any item of importance in the main area. I think the answer is kind of no now. There are 2 scavenger hunt items in this area. In the reception area. Which, now that you have this ability to potentially get very high, that certainly opens up a lot of possibility. Notice that you can't do the animation to step up. Let's see. And if you happen to be levitating on or near a rope, that doesn't help. Interesting.
Look out! Flying squirrel!
Yeah, Razputin still comes off as perhaps a little psychotic. Water-wise, I can levitate on these. Which, okay, that's good to know. But I would have to know where the collectibles are. The 2 scavenger hunt items. This still doesn't feel like there's anything we can do with that. See, I would kind of just have to physically be able to see where the scavenger hunt item is if I was going to find it. And I think there's only so far you can actually go in it before you're just going to end up there. There's 1 side marker challenge and 2 scavenger hunts and 3 side cards in this area. Which that's somewhat believable. Yeah. Then we would have the bear back. Can we do anything with the bear? Then we have this. Seeing that pound, 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 pound doesn't seem to do anything.
Still won't budge. Nope, still won't budge.
So, yeah, clearly there's still some ability there. And clearly there's still something. Yeah, something I don't get there.
Let me go!
What to do with small bully assistant?
Jeez, I don't know. Could you put him in that deadly Nelson you were talking about?
Could. On such tiny opponent, all blood might drain out ear holes.
Interesting. So the Russian guy.
Penny?
On other hand, blood from constricted trunk could rush to tongue.
And?
Tongue swells, pops. Most blood drains back down throat.
Interesting.
These two are becoming bullies
Mouth stuffed with
themselves
giant
if they're
tongue,
not
can't
careful.
scream. So quieter.
Shut up, Benny. You have something less drastic?
Could use half Deadly Nelson.
What's that?
Like Deadly Nelson, but less dying.
How much less?
Half.
What happens the other half of the time?
Opponent leaves. Spends the rest of short life praying for death.
Hey! Can you hear me down there? Maloof?
Shut up, Benny.
Seriously, Maloof. I
I apologize. Call off your goon, and I'll never bother you again. Ever.
The thing is, Benny,
The
you're
problem
never gonna bother me again either way. So you're gonna
Yeah.
have to offer something a lot better than
is
that.
that he's just saying the same line,
Any
shut up,
ideas,
over and over
Miguel?
again.
Know anything about giant hairless bear?
No.
Out of ideas. Preparing Nelson.
Well, wait. Maybe. Yeah, maybe I did see something like that. Give me a minute to think.
You ready to talk, Benny?
Hold on. It'll come to me.
And this is one of those in-game cutscenes. So we're still far from having...
Hey, you guys aren't going around taking people's brains out, are you?
Not yet, but maybe we should do some market research on that and see if there's a demand for that service.
You're not going to, kill Benny, are you?
Difficult to say.
So am I supposed to save Benny here with the psychic ability?
Get a good grip.
Or...
You should take advantage of this time to quietly reflect upon your life, Benny. Raz, buddy! You gotta help me!
Yeah, I don't think the game wants you to do anything. I think this is just an example of things slowly changing as we move the story forward, and that there are these just scripted points in the game that you move the story forward with the characters. And I suppose over a longer period of gameplay you will see everything there is to see. Right. I now see a bunch of cards. If I go that way, does that let me climb up this way? Yes, it does. So this is a very high point. We're gonna have to work our way downward. Okay. I probably could have collected those collectibles. And I know we're going late here, but I wanted to see what we really benefit from, if anything. By having the levitation ability. Okay. These spikes, unnecessary, because they could have either been grips or they could have just been non-existent. Now they are in the way. Hey, let's just see what it feels like trying to climb the thing without them. I guess they act somewhat like platforms. Okay. That tree seems to not go any further. And you could have just climbed that tree this whole time, I guess. Yeah, so you could have climbed the whole tree and that would have gotten you everything anyways, which that means now there's just 2 scavenger items and whatever the question mark thing is. We are at Psy Cadet rank of 44 out of 100. There's only 14 more vaults to crack. There's, I suppose, 31 more emotional baggages, 8 more scavenger items. Still trying to find enough to get the cobweb duster. It does kind of feel like we are only going in the minds of yourself and Sasha Neen and Mila Vodella and Marcy Oleander. I'll have these names are ridiculous. Whispering Rock. As far as cutscenes, like the main story cutscenes, there's only 3 more of them. Does seem like we very well are closer to the end of the game than it would make sense that we actually should be at. I don't know why I'm saving here. Would make more sense to save ourselves some time in the loading screen to save here. Yeah, according to the game, we've been playing for 5 hours and 30 minutes. I would highly contest that. There's clearly just one more badge to collect. Yeah, and it does just kind of feel like we're gonna quickly finish this game. And I've so far just found it slow. I have not found why it would be such a darling of a game. A lot of that certainly comes just to timing. I imagine some of my favorite games, Portal 2, would have just been blips, and I would have ignored them completely had they come out at different times when I was potentially focused in on a different game or just not focused on playing video games at all. And it feels definitely like there should be more of a twist here, and just more of a game here. If you were to look at it like Mario 64 and the 120 stars, there's not really 120 stars in this game because usually you had to do a lot of work to collect the stars. Also, Mario 64, if you're going to use that as a template, it had the red coins, it had collect 100 coins on every single world, it had at least a dozen different worlds, it had specific bosses too, usually in every world, it had specific puzzles. There was a lot of effort put into making a lot of content here, whereas if you were to say the side cards are the equivalent of stars in this game, it's just not the same. You're just wandering around in the overworld collecting them very easily. And so that comparison kind of falls flat. And then if you're going to think about the levels being the important stuff, there's kind of nothing in the levels. We occasionally run into sensors. Those are the only enemies we've even seen. And sometimes on top of that, we are just trying to find a massive amount of figments, which there's just way too many of those. Like, you could completely eliminate all the figments from this game, and the game would feel almost exactly the same. And so, yeah, this really feels like I have to put it all on Tim Schafer. It feels like he just made bad decisions as to what to allocate resources to. Instead of having an animator draw 100 flat 2D figments, how about draw a second enemy, or at least a second look on the enemy so that they look varied a little bit. Instead of having cutscene after cutscene animated, perhaps have better animation around more enemies and more gameplay elements instead of static cutscene sections. And yeah, the story really hasn't gone anywhere so far, so it's even hard to criticize or say anything good about this story. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.